This is Off Peak, a podcast about getting around in Los Angeles. Of all the places that are known as 24-hour cities, LA isn't usually the first to pop into mind. So it might surprise you to know that LA has been running a 24-hour transit service for 110 years, since 1906. It's called the Owl Service, and between midnight and 5 a.m., tens of thousands of people board these night buses all over the city. If you've ever noticed a small crescent moon on a metro timetable, that's about how much it's publicized. But for a lot of people, that little crescent moon is a lifeline. We wanted to know what happens on these buses, who rides them, who drives them, where they're coming from and going to, while the rest of us are asleep.
I'm Roxandra. I'll be riding the 81 from Eagle Rock in Northeast LA to South LA.
And I'm Neely. I'll be riding the number 4 bus from Santa Monica to downtown Los Angeles, so basically the other side of the city. That's me running full speed after a bus at 1:15 midnight in downtown Santa Monica. Hi, are you Jody? No, okay. We're waiting for Jody's bus. Thank you. Shit. If it's not obvious, I don't run full speed very often. I'm on 2nd Street and Santa Monica Boulevard, trying to find Jody Prim's number 4 bus. I hear she loves driving the Owl Service, and that takes a really specific type of bus driver.
It takes a bus driver like Marina Mancilla, who's been driving for Metro for 5 years. She's not who you might imagine is driving a bus late at night. She's 29, but she looks like she's in high school.
The personalities are just so different at night. At night, they're done. They're going home. They're relaxed. They're like, all right, just as long as you get me home, safely, it doesn't matter. It's a lot more relaxed.
Marina is waiting at the first stop in Eagle Rock at the intersection of Verdugo and Colorado. Outside the bus, the street is eerily quiet. No one's waiting to get on Marina's bus.
In downtown Santa Monica, the sidewalks are teeming with people. Mostly teenagers and 20-somethings, couples, and those small 3 and 4-somes of all men or all women dressed up and on the prowl. A little drunk, possibly, probably, and more strollers than you might imagine. Number 4 bus after number 4 bus rolls by, but no sign of Jody. Lucky for me, there's always another bus pulling up.
Approaching 2nd and Broadway.
The bus fills up fast. By the time we've gone a mile or so, it's half full, which is surprising since there were at least 3 of these same buses in the 20 minutes before. A 20-something young guy practically cartwheels into the bus. He's sweaty, wearing a Mizzou t-shirt, and hangs a skateboard on the top rail by the wheels while he fishes out his tap card. I've never seen this maneuver, and I don't think anyone else on the bus has either. Where are you off to tonight?
I'm gonna go to a midnight AA meeting.
How long have you been going to AA meetings?
How long have you been going to AA meetings?
I've never gone to one.
You've never gone to an AA meeting? It's pretty cool. You should go.
I should?
Yeah. I'm gearing up for it. That's why I'm like getting extra weird,
By extra weird, he might be talking about how he keeps doing chin-ups on the top bar of the bench seats while he's talking to me, or how he keeps twirling his skateboard around his head. It's like a mini acrobatics show. Just then, an older man walks into the bus. He has on a white suit over an Argyle sweater, over a tie, aviator sunglasses, and he's wearing sequined women's flip-flops and carrying a pair of white buckskin loafers. Also, he doesn't have any teeth.
Where are you going tonight?
Hollywood.
Oliver Wood.
Do you have something fun to do in Hollywood?
I live there.
Oh, you live there. I like your shoes. Where did you get those? He tells me the sequin flip-flops belong to his late wife. We are just about past Beverly Hills at this point, and the bus is packed.
Back on the 81, everyone aboard is quiet. We're somewhere on the southern edge of downtown. It's 11 p.m. Then James walks in, one of the regulars. James is a retired plumber and in his late 60s, but he's full of energy.
Oh God, I've been riding this bus, I would imagine since about 2010. But about 4 years ago, I had a legal issue. The people on the bus fed me for a month. And so in return, when I came out of that crisis, we started having the parties on the bus.
And by party, he means a pizza party. James would bring a large pizza on the bus and share it with all the passengers.
The pizza's only like $8, and that's to feed everybody on the bus. I spend that at McDonald's on myself, you know.
Juan, who's sitting just a few seats forward, nods and laughs. He was often the one bringing the pizza pies after he got out of his shift at Domino's downtown.
I don't like to do too much. This guy also, like every day, he can eat everyday pizza. When he sees me, he's really happy.
Some of us, we've been doing this for like 4 years. And what we do, because this is usually the driver's last run, and we're all going home, we have what's called a Happy Herman Hour.
The Happy Herman Hour is a pizza party that was held on the bus. Herman was the driver for this route before Marina took it over. It turns out Herman was a cool bus driver. He was the first to let James and other regulars bring pizza aboard so they could share it with strangers. After he left, the party named after him stayed on.
Hey, Juan, you work late Tuesday? Wednesday? See, that's how we have to do it.
James and Juan agree on a date. The next pizza party will be held the following Thursday, and it'll be Marina's turn to bring it.
I chat with a few more people. The bus is carrying all men except one possibly homeless woman sleeping against the window. It's almost 1 a.m. and it's standing room only. Everyone's got earbuds in. I've talked to a cook, a waiter, a busboy, all ending their late night shifts. And in fact, the OWL service was started with just these types of workers in mind.
OWL cars run this morning. Passengers are practically all of sterner sex.
That's the LA Times headline from September 11th, 1906, after the first night of OWL service. The sterner sex means men. I had to think about that one for a second, too.
Downtown had a lot of building. It was the center of LA at the time, and there was just a lot of jobs.
That's Matthew Barrett, Metro's librarian.
There were 24-hour jobs, and there were these, at the time, suburban communities where, maybe about 6 miles away from downtown, and there was extensive streetcar service. And so it was a matter of getting workers to jobs at the right hours of the day and night.
Imagine downtown Los Angeles in 1906. It was the center of the city, literally and figuratively. The tallest building was 11 stories high. The security building, it's still on Spring Street. The population was just over 230,000 people. That seems tiny, but it had actually more than doubled in the previous 6 years. There were maybe a couple thousand cars in the whole city. The speed limit was 8 miles per hour, 6 in the business district. There were no buses. People got around on the electric streetcars, and the last streetcars of the night left at 12:30. But for some workers and turn-of-the-century partiers, that was just too early. Businessmen of all stripes petitioned the city, and after meeting with the city council, the Los Angeles Railway made this announcement.
Effective September 10, 1906, OWL service will be operated over Main Street, University, Pico Boulevard, Downey Avenue, and Euclid Avenue lines. The operation of these cars will necessarily be operated at a loss to the company, and we shall reserve the right, we hope, without any feeling on your part, to take off this service in case the loss proves too great.
But that never happened.
It's odd. It's survived all this time. It's patronized. We don't really promote it, but we do make special efforts to make sure it's successful every night. But the cool thing is if you're coming from the south or the north or the east or the west, those buses coming to downtown, their routes change and they all line up and meet up on Broadway. So if you want to go from Long Beach to the San Fernando Valley, you can do that. Whereas normally those lines might not connect with each other during the day.
The routes are timed so that people can make their connections. And if a bus is late, the connecting buses will wait. That way, people don't have to wait at a stop in the middle of the night. It's like a whole different way of running buses.
It's just one of those, I don't know, almost like an urban legend kind of service. And if you look at each individual timetable schedule, there is, in very fine print, some information about owl service on it. So it's something, I guess, for the most advanced sort of transit geek out there, or transit fan, or transit user. They know it. It's just not something that's the rest of the city even sees or thinks about.
If it weren't for owl service on the 81, Reina wouldn't be able to keep her 2 jobs. When she gets on, she heads to her regular seat a few rows back on the right. The key is to sit window side so she can sleep. Reina says, "Oh yes, I'm always sleeping on this bus, always. I sleep around 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I set my alarm on my phone and I know I have to get off the bus." Reina is an immigrant from Honduras who's been living in the U.S. for almost 20 years, she says. After working a full-day shift, she'll get home to South LA around midnight, and she'll sleep a few hours more. She gets up at 4 a.m., and from there she's off to her other job as a waitress at a diner. Before long, Reina's asleep, but after a few minutes, she wakes up startled.
We're at Exposition.
Oh, it's okay.
I got you. I know where you know.
Wake me up.
I will, honey.
Her stop is coming up, and so is Juan's. A few minutes later, James says goodbye to Marina, the bus driver, and he gets off too. We pass one strip mall after another. We pass freeway overpasses as we get closer to downtown. This area is still bustling with traffic and pedestrians waiting to cross at the intersections. Only 1 or 2 riders get on during a stop, headed home after a shift. A few younger people climb on, wearing their headphones, lost in their music. Marina is drinking an iced coffee. She's wide awake and cheerful. It's almost the end of her shift, and she's back at the same place where she started, beneath the freeway overpass.
Growing up, I didn't take the bus much at all. I probably took it like 3 or 4 times in my life. I never imagined that I would have fell in love with it the way I did. And I have some friends that tell me, like, you never wanted to be in the bus. Now you drive the bus. I'm like, yeah, it's funny, but I love it.
It's now 2 a.m., and that baby owl route is over. Marina's headed home, and so am I. I watch Marina's bus as it drives away. She's off to the bus lot nearby. Nighttime in Northeast LA may be quieter and slower, but the 81 comes to life. The friendships and relationships form a rhythm and a community that could only happen on the bus. Maybe because it comes once an hour. The driver knows them. They have a shared history. It's a little world rolling on through the dark.
It's about 2 a.m. here in Hollywood, and we're speeding down Santa Monica Boulevard towards sunset. The bus is full, but the streets are empty. People have their earbuds in. They're avoiding eye contact, the way people do on public transit in the middle of the night. On the number 4, no one's really talking, except for one guy who looks amazingly like Channing Tatum. He's got 2 phones going and an earbud in each ear, and he's been answering calls all night. Once he answered Tina's Dominatrix and Fetish, and another time all I could make out was Jailhouse. He gets off at Santa Monica and Western, and one by one, people are trickling out. There were a lot of interesting people on this bus, but really, there were a lot of regular commuters going home from one job to get a few hours of sleep before they started another job, or went to school, or took care of their kids. Whether the whole city knows about it or not, a lot goes on in the middle of the night. It has to keep a city like LA going, with our hot food, clean dishes, clean carpets, and of course, sober skateboarders. Join us next time when we'll be hearing the story of an enterprising teenager who started his very own bus line to the beach in 1971. Email us your feedback about the podcast and story ideas to offpeak@metro.net. And of course, please like us on iTunes if you enjoyed this episode. New episodes are available every other Friday through October. This story was produced by Ruxandra Guidi and myself, Neely Alel, for The Glue. It was edited by Jim Gates and Ben Adair, engineered by Ravi Carmen, with production management by Rachel Harper. For Metro. Special thanks to Matt Holzman. The music in this episode was created by Sun Little, whose self-titled album is available at sunlittlemusic.net. This is Off Peak.